So today we are going to read another bedtime story. This one is called The Well of the World's End, from English Fairy Tales by Joseph Jacobs. And it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a girl whose mother had died, and her father married again. And her stepmother hated her because she was more beautiful than herself. She used to make her do all the work and never let her away and never let her have any peace. One day, the stepmother thought to get rid of her altogether, so she handed her a sieve and said, "Go fill it at the well of the world's end and bring it home to me full, or woe betide you." For the stepmother thought the girl would never be able to find the well of the world's end, and if she did, how could she bring home a sieve full of water? Well, the girl started off and asked everyone she met where the well of the world's end was, but nobody knew, and she didn't know what to do, when a little old woman, all bent double, told her how to get to it. So at last she arrived there, but when she dipped the sieve in the cold water, it all ran out again. She tried and tried, but every time it was the same, and at last she sat down and cried as if her heart would break. Suddenly she heard a croak, and she looked up and saw a great frog with goggle eyes looking at her. "What's the matter, dearie?" it said. The girl explained, and the frog replied, "If you promise me to do whatever I bid you for a whole night long, I'll tell you how to fill the sieve." The girl didn't like the idea, but she had no choice, so she agreed. And the frog said, "Stop it with moss and dab it with clay, and then it will carry the water away." Then it gave a hop, skipped and jumped, flop, back into the well of the world's end. So the girl lined the sieve with moss, and over that she put some clay. And then she dipped it once again into the well of the world's end, and this time the water didn't run out. Quite forgetting her promise to the frog, she went back to her stepmother, who was angry as angry, but said nothing at all. That very evening, they heard something tapping at the door low down, and a voice cried out, "Open the door, my darling!" The girl went and opened the door, and, to her dismay, there was the frog from the well of the world's end. She explained about the agreement, and her stepmother said, "Girls must keep their promises," for she was quite gleeful that the girl would have to obey a nasty frog. And it hoped, and it hoped, and it jumped, till it was right inside, and then it said, "Let me sit on your knee, my dear." But the girl didn't like to, till her stepmother said, "Lift it up this instant. Girls must keep their promises." So at last she lifted the frog up onto her lap, and it lay there for a time, till at last it said, "Give me some supper, my sweetheart." Well, she didn't mind doing that, so she got it a bowl of milk and bread and fed it well. And when the frog had finished, it said, "Now go with me to the bed, my own one." But that the girl wouldn't do, till her stepmother said, "Do what you promised, or out you go, you and your froggy." So the girl took the frog with her to bed, and kept it as far away from her as she could. Well, just as the day was beginning to break, what should the frog say but, "Chop off my head, my true love, remember the promise you made to me." At first the girl wouldn't, for she thought of what the frog had done for her at the well of the world's end. But when the frog said the words over again, she took an axe up and chopped off his head. Lo and behold, there stood before her a handsome young prince, who told her that he had been enchanted by a wicked magician, and he could never be unspelled till some girl would do his bidding for a whole night, and chopped off his head at the end of it. So the prince and the girl were married and went away to live in the castle of the king, his father, and the stepmother hated every bit of it. And this is today's story, so thank you very much for listening, and until the next time.